Hi, I'd like to walk you through how to create a photo book with Mylio Photos and Printique. You might be familiar with Mylio Photos' great ability to find and tag people based on face. For example, here's a bunch of photos of my daughter. Through the years, we've taken a lot of trips together, and I'm able to easily see all those pictures in one place. The way this works is that you can enter a tagging mode by clicking the batch tagging button. This will find people in your library that it thinks are a certain person that you've already identified, or it'll ask you who somebody is and you can name them. For example, I can approve these photos of me and my father. You can also browse and find untagged faces and then easily select them and assign an existing name. Once you have things tagged, it's really easy to get organized. For example, let's come up here to Filters. I'm going to start by filtering out photos of my family from last year. I'll go to Person first and click to add a filtered person. Now you can just type their name and select them from a list. You see in this case, photos that contain my daughter appear. I can keep going. For example, selecting photos of my son, my wife, and myself. Now, Mylio is showing me all of the photos I've captured that contains a picture of one of those people. Now, we can narrow things down a bit. Let's take a look at the date range. I want to make a picture book of some of our favorite memories for last year. You'll find great presets here to make this simple, or you can use the custom sorting category and explore our product manual for some advanced options. I'll choose last year. You see that I've now narrowed it down to about 700 photos from just last year. Now what I'm going to do is select all of those images. Instead of moving or deleting things on my folders or hard drives, I'm going to do some virtual organization. I'll click the Action menu here and choose Add to Album. Let's go to the top level here, and I'll make a new album called Photo Book 2022 and click Create. With the album selected, I'll choose Continue. The items are added to the album. Albums are virtual organization. Now what I can do is clear out my filters, and I'll switch to the album view. Let's close the filter tab, and you'll see my albums here. Albums are great for virtual organization. You can sort these albums by a variety of criteria. Here, for example, we're sorting by date created. So the last one I created is right here. I could double click to open it, and let's go a little bit smaller. Now, as you work with images, you're going to find that there's lots of photos in your library, sometimes a bunch of duplicates as well. Not true duplicates, but photos that are very similar as you took them. Well, what I can do now is narrow this down. Maybe I took some similar photos of an event, like my son's graduation, and I was just heavy on the shutter button there to get all the great options. Or you're taking a group picture, and there's slight variations in smiles. In any case, there's probably more pictures than we want. And I see a few things that don't actually belong here, some screenshots. Well, I'm going to go ahead and eliminate those right away. Things I know I don't want. When I press the delete key, they're just removed from the album, not the hard drive. This makes it really easy to quickly browse and visually make a few selects you know you don't need. For example here, my daughter's face is actually appearing on a cell phone because she helped us with some Mylio photo shoots. So I'm going to eliminate those as they're not really needed. Technically, she is in the picture, but it's a really tiny picture of her from when she was much younger as we populated the cell phone screen. You see here that just because you have a picture doesn't mean it's the right date. You might also find that you have some pictures that are old scans, like I do here. Well, good news. We can organize those as well. I'm going to clean these up a little bit later, but I'll select a range of photos here and come into the date created. Sure, I scanned these on April 7th, but this is me as a baby. These are from when I was young, so I might as well select those and assign an approximate date. I'll go here and click and choose a year. Later, I can get these organized, but I'll go back to my birth year. I'd like to say it wasn't quite so far back, but there it is. And I'll click Save. Now, I can go ahead and delete those from the album. Again, I'm not deleting them on my hard drive. I'm just cleaning things up in the album itself, removing some pictures that are not needed. This overview here makes it really simple to see things, and I'm just spot checking for anything that I know is a definite not want. Well, we're definitely getting things woven down here and getting rid of some stuff we don't need, like this screenshot here, accidentally captured on my phone, or some out of focus pictures. I can see things and quickly eliminate them with just a press. Now though, it's time to really go to work, and that's getting rid of stuff we don't need. One great way to do this is to select an image and then go to the upper right corner. You could do this on desktop or mobile. We have an awesome option here called QuickReview. However, what I'm going to do is turn on the option here to not show rejected photos, rather hide them. Before I do, look closely here in the grid. You'll see some photos that are grayed out. These are ones that I decided were not worth throwing away in case I change my mind, but that I didn't necessarily need or want. So what I can do here is click, make sure that those are not shown, and it starts to clean things up. And I'll click again and choose Quick Review Mode. This takes Mylio into a special mode. Now, if you don't want to see the face tags, no big deal. You can escape this mode and turn off those overlays there very quickly. Then go back into Quick Review Mode. Now, you can just swipe between the pictures or use the arrow keys on your keypad. Additionally, if you're on a touchscreen device, you can actually click to add ratings by dragging up and down or swiping left to right. I'm just going to go through and mark the images that I want to use. P for pick. If I press the P key, it becomes the selected, and X will start to hide the images I don't want. What I'm doing is just quickly going through. If you want to toggle between these, you can use the arrow keys, and I think we have a little bit better lighting here. We took the family to an escape room. And you don't have to get rid of all the pictures, but chances are you want to thin things out a little bit so you can narrow down what you're going to use in the book. If you use your arrow keys going forwards and back, it's easy to choose things. Looking for the best facial expressions here. This one seems to be it, but let's check one more. There we go. This ability to quickly choose what you want makes it easy. And remember, it'll automatically advance forward. I'm using the shortcuts P for pick and X for reject. Work your way through the images and find your favorites. Don't be afraid to move quickly, as you can always change your mind. And just because you've marked a photo as a reject or a pick doesn't mean you have to use it in the book itself. Here's my son at college, getting ready for his first move-in. You could take a few passes through if needed to narrow things down. If you change your mind on a picture, you can always unhide it later, or if it's immediate, press the undo key to bring it back. Sometimes the pure joy of a smile, even if it's not perfect, is really worth keeping. In this case, we'll be able to make a nice series of pictures. So it's worth going a little bit heavier on selects for such an important event like a graduation. I'm looking for ones here where there's less people crossing them in the background. So if I find a better one, I can always go back and mark the others as rejects as I step through. Sometimes right after a big emotional reaction, you'll find a great smile. But pay attention to your background as well, looking for distractions. Look for the genuine emotion reaction, where the camera seems to be forgotten. Remember, you don't have to get rid of all the bad pictures, just try to narrow it down to some of the best to make it easier when we go to the next stage of layout. QuickReview makes this really easy to make your selects. All right. Now if I press Escape and we go back to the grid view, you see we've significantly woven that down. We went from about 700 photos to much less. That's a much more manageable set at 102. Now it's time to get those photos ready to send into layout. One of the things I'm going to do here before I go is take advantage of Mylio's quick editing capabilities. I'll go to the Edit tab, and you see we can apply simple presets. I'm going to use the Auto Color setting. Now, in this case, if the photos were already edited inside of Apple Photos or your cell phone, you might see this Discard Edit. That's because it already has some editing settings applied. If you want to be a bit more manual, you can step through and quickly review. For example here, I know that most of these pictures were captured on a traditional camera, and I can do the auto color. And it quickly enhances those, which works out great. It just brings out the right color and exposure, and you see that they adjust. You can, of course, make any other edits or settings that you need as you're going through. Now, once you're ready, I suggest you take a look at how these pictures are sorted. I'm going to choose to sort these by date created. And now we have the beginning to the year to the end of the year, where we did activities as a family. From trips still during the pandemic where we're masked, exercising at the gym, going to an art exhibit, out for lunch with my mom, family get-togethers, an award ceremony for scouting, my son's graduation, summer trips, taking my daughter to camp, moving my son in at his school. It all works out nicely. Now this one was edited and is kind of in the wrong spot. Its date is slightly off, but not by far. What I see here though is a pretty good linear progression. Now, if you want to review the ones you rejected, you can just go back and choose Show Rejected Photos. This will pop them back into the grid. So if you accidentally got rid of something you think you might want, it's no big deal. You can actually go back and find it. For example, I'm going to bring this one back to life, just to establish where we were visiting. And I think I want one of these group shots here in front of the dinosaur. Let's go with that one there. A little bit of a silly face. Okay, now we can hide those again quite simply. All right, we've got a great selection. Let's choose Select All. And now what I need to do is export these. I'll choose File, Export. There's lots of options here, but for the printing service, they recommend JPEGs. Stick with your original resolution, maximum quality, and the sRGB color space for the best compatibility. You can choose what metadata is applied. As far as file naming goes, I'm going to give these a new name. I'm going to choose Custom and type in our name, underscore, and then underscore, and you'll see that we can pick from a list here, such as sequence number. And since I have a lot of images here, I'm going to go with N3 here to handle 3-digit numbers. Bracket N3. Looking at that there, I get a pretty good idea of what's going to happen. Let's go back. Looks good. And I'll choose Export. Now I'll make a new folder. Choose it and click Open. You'll see that Mylio Photos begins the export right away. You can track the progress under the Activity Monitor. If all your photos are available, it goes pretty quickly. If not, Mylio Photos will download them from your vaults or other devices and then export. Now we can hide Mylio Photos. Let's visit the Printique website and set up our account, as well as check the settings we need to make our book. I'll choose Create an Account. You can then log in using a service or manually set up your account. You can take a quick look at the terms and conditions if you'd like to review how your pictures are used. It's all very straightforward, and we took a look at this before we partnered with Printique. When ready, click Sign Up. I'm going to go here to my account and choose Photo Galleries. You'll notice that earlier I did upload high-quality TIFFs. Printique can also use those, but they will take longer to upload. Let's go back here, and I'll make a new gallery and click Save. Now I can choose to upload my photos. These look good. I'll select them and choose Open. They all load into place pretty quickly. Now, depending upon how the pictures were captured and if all the dates were accurate, you might see slight variations. But in general, your pictures should be laid out in a fairly linear order. Don't worry if you see a few thumbnails or previews like this. Once you click the button to upload, it will complete the rest in the background. You can see they're starting to load in, for example. In this case, I have a few pictures that were edited later that had a file creation date that was slightly different. But all in all, things are in the order that they happened, from the start of our year to a little bit later. That looks good. They've been added, so I'll click Continue to Gallery. And you see that they're added into the gallery, and I see them listed. What I'm going to do is say Date, New to Old. And you see it shows me the year in reverse order, which is really cool. Or Date, Old to New. And now we've got a great sorting on the year's activities, which is really cool. Like I said, this one photo was edited, so it's just slightly out of order, but that's no big deal. I can drag that into the right place when my daughter and I went to summer camp together, and you see it updates. And now it's in a custom order. This means you can rearrange things if you need to. All right, this looks ready, so we're going to go on to lay out the book. Now I'll click on the photo book category, and I'm going to choose Soft Cover Books. In this case, I'm redeeming a free code that I got, which I'm able to use because I purchased a special bundle from Mylio. You can also, of course, just use any book layout here and pick one that fits your budget and style. I'm going to choose the shape here, a square book that's 8 by 8, and create my book. Now you'll find a bunch of great options. If you click the preview button, you can see what those pages are going to look like and step through the different designs. There's many different styles to select here. From large photos that fill one or more pages to collage type layouts. For example, I'm going to take a look here at Yearbook, and I see a fun layout that combines multiple photos on a page. That works well for this recap of our year. So I'll choose Select and Continue. The book is built. And now we just need to use an existing gallery. So I'll choose my gallery and select the photos that I have here. When you're set, just click it and the photos will all load. Then you could choose Proceed to Edit. If you want the book to be automatically populated, you can just click Old to New or one of these other options and it will lay them out. However, I prefer to do this manually because it's fun. But if you want to do it quickly, you can do that as well. I'll come over here to the sort order and choose Custom Sorting. Now as I step through, I see all the images that I have. Remember, if you need to, you can drag and rearrange the order of photos pretty quickly. So in this case, we have a few things that are out of order. I can just drag those to where they go if I need to, or just deal with it as I lay out the pictures. All right, let's have some fun. I'm going to start by designing my book. You could choose any page that you want, and then take a look at all the different layouts. So I want to put a layout near the end of the book here for the trip we took over the winter. I'm going to choose one that has multiple photos and can simply drag and drop those to lay them out, which is pretty cool. Notice how easy it is just to change that design. Then go back to your photos and start dragging things in as you see fit. So, for example, I'll drop in some pictures here. You see that you can reposition them within the layout too. I'll choose Fit or Fill, for example, to fit to the page, and it automatically scales it. I'm also going to choose the Hide Used option to get rid of the pictures as we drop them into the book. You can double-click to interact with the content as needed. Some squares are going to be better for certain designs. Experiment with different layouts. You'll find individual page as well as full spreads. If you find one you like, just drag and drop. This one looks like it'll work well to complete this design, and I can drop in some additional photos. I think I'm going to save this one and position this one instead. It really is a lot of fun, and you can combine different photos together from a trip. Let's add another page, and this time I'm going to use a full screen layout and drop that in place and grab a great picture from the trip. You can easily reorder pages by just dragging and dropping them into a new order. I see we have 4 more photos from this particular trip, and I'd like to use them. So from layouts here, I'll take a look at some that support multiple images. I'll drag that into play, and then grab photos. In this case, I think I need some that are more vertical oriented. So from the layout category, I'll take a look for some that are taller. I can also take a look in just the spreads here and choose things like 4 photos and see my options. I think I like this one. And let's experiment with what's left. You can always click on a picture with a simple double click to recompose the photo, or adjust the zoom if needed to punch in a little more on the action. This one's low light, but I still like the reactions to the dinosaur behind us. In this case, as I look at the layout, I'm going to make a slight tweak. For example, I could choose Fit or Fill, and I'll tell it to fit to the page, and you see it scales. I'm okay with the white borders, as it's consistent across the 2 pages. Let's choose this though, and kick it off with a nice photo. In this case, we see the Universal Studios. Now, there's a few more photos from the family vacation after this, right over the holiday. So I'm going to move this page to the end. Notice how easy it is to drag and drop things into a new layout order. Now, my family can be a bit goofy, and I'm okay with the silly smiles. We've got a nice spread here for the holidays. Let's go back and take a look at a few other events. I'm going to go with a nice series here of my son going and moving into college. As I look at those here, with custom sorting, I'll just drag things into a new order. I see we have some similar photos. And looking at that, let's get them organized. Looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 photos from that. Well, looking at some of these layouts here, I'm going to choose some different options. Remember, you can select different combinations of pages and go to the layouts and pick from those, or work within your theme. I think I like this one here. Let's go with a great photo here of my son and his mom during the orientation session, and then drop in a few more photos of him. You can also rearrange these on the page if you want to play with the layout. And you notice how the grid snaps things into place quite nicely. Periodically, be sure to click the Save Project button to capture your work. I've also got autosave turned on here, and you can see that it's tracking it with the dots showing progress. Let's do some more layout. I'll come up here and grab a few more photos. In this case, we're going to do a great spread from his graduation. I'll drop in a page and let it update. And you see it takes on the new look. If you want, you can also add additional pages. I'm going to clone this page, for example, and put a second layout page in. You see it's added in there. And then let's just switch that up a little bit. Now we can build out our design. Let's start with a nice, solid photo of him. I'm going to end up adding more pages to my book, but you see this is really straightforward. You can zoom in as needed on the action. And let's go with a fun layout here that'll fit a lot of photos of the family. If you want to swap a picture out, just drag a new one on top. So we've now got a nice spread for graduation. Now don't worry about some of these extra pictures. We can use those later in some of the general covers or collages throughout the layout. I want to add a few more pages. I'm going to come here to the front and click Add Spread. This lets you insert additional pages. I'm going to start the book off with a great collection of photos. Let's pick some here for the cover. In this case, I'm going to select just a series of random photos that were captured throughout the year. I could choose to use pictures from inside the book. I can use pictures we've already used by unhiding the used photos if we want, or just grabbing existing ones. The text here is also editable. Let's keep adding some photos. All right, looking at our book, I think we've done a nice job. We've got all the pages filled out. I've got my cover and other pages, and I'm ready to move forward. I'm going to choose to save my project. Once you're ready, you can click the Order button. Now in this case, it's warning about things being close to the edge, but that's actually part of the template, so I'm okay with that. I'll close out that warning and continue to my cart. It adds the book. The book is done, and it's turned out great. I'm really excited to share this with my family. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial looking at the complete process of organizing a book with Mylio Photos and building it using Printique.